Hey everyone, welcome back to your Sacred Strategies Energy and Business Podcast. So, let me go ahead and dive deep into a story first, shall we? So, the other week, I had my second session with my Spiritual Leadership Immersion Group. There's 14 of them, and we are diving deep into understanding leadership and space holding for 8 weeks. And week 2 is all about the devoted energy archetypes. And so these leadership archetypes are ones that I have created after a decade of working with clients and recognizing the different archetypal energies that come through for each of them. And so many of my clients have already taken the quiz and they're well equipped in understanding their archetypal energies inside of devoted, whereas others are brand new to the world of my devoted archetype. So they're really excited about what might come up for them. What was interesting and fascinating was that the ones who've already taken the quiz, the ones who already knew deeply about their archetypes, were the ones that really wanted to cling and attach themselves to that archetype. And I very much shared with them that all four archetypes are within them, and that based on the season of their life here and what they want to address from a leadership perspective, their archetypes might change. The one that they're going to work with might be different than the one that they have very much resonated with in the past number of years. And those that have been working with the archetypes did not want to hear that at all. They were often very, very nervous about the fact that they had to shift their archetypes. They were laughing and joking around the fact that they did not want to, and they were going to do the quiz multiple times. And they were joking, but they were also quite serious. Yes. And I did have a client reach out to me and say she took the archetype quiz 4 times to try to get back to the archetypal energy results of the previous years, but she kept on getting a new archetype and was the same new archetype over and over and over again. Which to me, magically and synchronicity is a sign that she's to really dive into this other archetypal energy. And so I share this because how often do you attach yourself and your identity to something else, right? Number one, it's a great way to help you, but number two, it might actually prevent you from your growth. And so let's just take a moment and have you begin to think and or write all the different archetypal energies you work with. So for example, maybe from a horoscope perspective, you might say that you are an Aries with a rising Taurus and a moon in Taurus, and you identify with those characteristics. Maybe in Myers-Briggs, you might say you are an INFP and you identify in that. Maybe in Enneagram, you say that you are 3 and you identify in that. And potentially in human design, you might say that you're a splenic projector. And so there are certain things in that that you identify with. Right? So just take a moment and pause and bring up for you what that looks like. Maybe from the major arcana in tarot, you really identify with the magician or the high priestess. And so just begin to notice what you've already identified with, what kind of archetypal energies you have played with or dove deeper into in your spiritual awareness. Because I know that you who are listening and watching right now, you are seasoned in your spiritual practice. You have been doing this for decades. You're in your midlife, you might be in perimenopause or menopause, and you are wise with your knowledge. And you also know that there are different seasons and stages in your life and that there's evolutions that occur. So just notice which archetypes really are ones that have resonated in the past, the ones that at this moment may not actually resonate with you, but you didn't even recognize that you were still fully embodied in that presence, and potentially what are the archetypes that you are stepping into that you aren't even aware that are knocking on your door or tapping you on the shoulder, asking you to take a look at them. Yeah? Okay. So in the show notes below, I will make sure that I put in the quiz because in the devoted archetypes, there are 4 archetypes, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you which archetypal energy is yours. And in other episodes, I'll talk and go deeper in the archetypes. But for today, it's really about you adjusting your identity in relation to the archetypal energies that you already are working with. Okay, so when you look at archetypes, It is an actually very helpful thing to do. I'm not negating that at all. I am a big fan and a big believer in using archetypal energies to help us identify our medicine and the stage we are in our life. And so it is a huge component in helping us really come into alignment and beginning to listen to the fullest expression of ourselves in that season of time. So I feel as if they bring confidence, they bring clarity, they bring joy and curiosity as well. And they bring us a common language and a sense of belonging. That's all delicious and great, right? They also help us bring in the humanity of ourselves, recognizing the tension, the discomfort, the areas of improvements that we can make as human beings. And it also shows us the humanness of those that are around us and begins to help us really hold space for our clients and our community, especially recognizing that they're showing up, trying their best, and whatever wounds, tension, stories that they're working with, and therefore sometimes the interaction and the relationship and the conversation you're having with your client may feel a little off kilter, but it might not have anything to do with you. And so the archetypal energies really help us come to a place of empathy and compassion as well. All right. They often, therefore, then soften any friction, right? Any prickles that happen between dynamics between you and a client or you in a group when you are holding and facilitating a group experience. And so for me, archetypal energies are a great access point that helps us begin to notice what resonates, what does not, what feels like something that you desire to actually really embody, and other areas that feel really prickly to us. They're not here to put us into a cage or into a box at all. They're here simply to start a conversation, to have a common language, and to have a grounding place for curiosity to see how we can then break open the box of who we are. Okay, so the next thing I'd love for us to consider then is what happens when the archetypal energy is at this moment in time not serving us, right? So you listed all the archetypal energies that you worked with. I'd love for you to then go ahead and list in the archetypal energies that you identify with, how are you identifying yourself with that? So, for example, in human design, I am a splenic projector. How do I identify with a splenic projector 6-2? And how does it help me stay in alignment with myself and my business? But how does me addressing and telling myself that I'm a projector also limits myself or gives me and creates an excuse or a tension or doesn't help me, but actually narrows my scope and my ability to see what's possible because I'm only looking at it through one flat lens and not looking at it from a deeper nuanced perspective. So for yourself, go ahead and do that. Okay, then the next thing is to really go ahead and notice the tension, right? And so therefore, what you'll notice is maybe there's certain archetypal energies that you have clung onto, and it means that you excuse your behavior, your thoughts, your conditioning by saying that you are that, as if that just excludes you from evolving, from healing, from taking ownership, from having self-agency, from being sovereign and making sovereign discerning choices that might sometimes feel hard. Also notice when you are really digging your heels into your archetype and saying, no, Sora, I don't want to change this because you're resisting change. That this might be an area within yourself that you didn't even realize that you were clinging on to because of what you know about it and the comforts of being able to stay in the pocket of that archetypal energy rather than shifting into a new energy that you don't know what that means for yourself. You don't know what that feels like. You are unsure, and therefore the unknown makes yourself feel a lot of tension. Potentially also that the discomfort you're feeling in your body, the discomfort you're feeling in your business right now, it might not be that there's a sign that you should end it all or that you should burn it down. It might not even be a sign that everyone else's information is incorrect and it is BS. It might simply mean that who you were is not who you are and who you are becoming. And therefore, the strategies or what people are sharing doesn't resonate anymore, not because they aren't someone who's divine and wonderful, but because you are no longer the person who needed that information. And you are now actually in this in between stage, ready to cross the thresholds to becoming this evolution of who you are. And that discomfort creates a lot of tension and confusion around who do I listen to? What books do I read now? How do I stay in a space of alignment? I don't know if this is the business I want. There becomes a lot of confusion. But the confusion could simply not be that you're in a danger space of unraveling everything, but a discomfort and a tension because there are growing pains that are happening within yourself as well as your business. Okay, so I'm going to give you some journal questions. And during this time, I'm going to pause so that you can go ahead and drop in. So we'll call this your reflection corner. And during this time, I highly suggest you take a moment and really see what comes up for you, allowing yourself to write on a piece of paper. Now, I know some of you are going to say, I don't really like writing. Others of you are going to say, you're in the car and you're listening to me on audio. And so, how are you going to do that? In which case, I simply invite you to come on back. Okay. The journal questions will also be in the show notes, but I love the idea of really being able to bring our thoughts, not just percolating within ourselves, but jotting it down and then later on reading it out loud back to yourself to see what comes up for you. There's such truth in the depth of your words when you're not just thinking it, but when you write it, you express it and read it out loud and you hear yourself again, because then you're processing what you have written in a different time period that helps you make some deeper understandings for yourself. All right. So here are the journal questions during your reflection corner. What are you clinging onto for dear life, even though there is a little voice telling you this isn't it? What change are you resisting? Where are you consistent? Where are you aligned? Where does your consistency stop you from being in alignment? How is your discomfort a sacred sign? Okay, that is the end of your reflection corner. Let's get back to your identity. So, the way that I have been walking with the question around my identity and stepping into a new era of my identity is that for me in the energy space, it feels like a navigation system. And so my inner navigation system knows best. It is connected to my higher consciousness, and therefore it has a guiding navigation route that it wants to go on and a particular destination it would like to go on. But my internal awareness system has memorized the navigation system of that moment in time where I stepped in and synced in, and the last time I synced in to my navigation system, right? And so think of it as programs that you have to upgrade in order for you to now have all the bells and whistles so things don't go awry. Same idea. So I have a navigation system, let's say it upgraded. I went into the energy space and I synced in. So I now know what that navigation system feels like. And now I can intuitively move alongside the navigation system. Now, if we haven't been listening and we haven't done upgrades and maintenance and have ourselves sink in, our navigation system might have shifted slightly, going into a new destination or going in a different direction to hit the destination eventually, but we don't know that that is happening. And when that occurs, things go haywire. Our internal systems alerting us, it's going alert, 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 you're going in the wrong direction. And we don't know why this is happening. And so we're confused, we're frustrated, we're pushing harder, we're trying our best, we are shaming ourselves for things not working and feeling really, really hard. And so this is when, to me, whenever there's a little bit of that disruption that occurs, I wonder what kind of growth is happening? What am I not hearing? And can I take a moment to pause, sink back in, see what shifted, and where I need to go next? So this could look like your body telling you. This could look like your business telling you. This could look like synchronistic events and circumstances or conversations that happen. This could look like there's a season of your life that is shifting, and therefore you need to address what's going on internally first and foremost as well. And so essentially your compass has a new direction and it's trying its best to let you know, and you're not listening. So it's doing everything in its power for you to begin to sink in and have communication so that clearly the message is being linked and now set so that you can move in a harmonized way, right? Okay, so misalignment will escalate into breakdowns, friction, exhaustion, a plateau, a block. All of those means that potentially we just need to take a moment. So a lot of the times this gets mirrored, right? I also find that this is something that as we are in perimenopause, menopause, and midlife stages, that we see more clearly, and we don't have the energy or the desire truly to push, push, push when we don't have to anymore. And so our capacity and ability to put the brakes on for a moment and re-navigate what is happening and take a moment to consider, because we don't want to live the life of pushing and hustling and forcing things like we did before. We don't have the energy and we want to do other things in our life, means that our capacity to come back and be in this harmonious state of presence to recognize what's next is so much more available to us. So let's go ahead and go into the energy coaching corner, shall we? Inside of the energy coaching corner of Devoted, we're going to drop in and we're going to have you start really exploring your navigation system. Now, if you are driving, please do this afterwards. If you are not, then go ahead and you can lower your gaze or close your eyes, and we're going to go inward. When we do, firstly, I'm asking permission as your energy coach to go in alongside you. That's the first thing. So do I have permission? The second thing is that we're going to drop into our heart space. Now, when we enter into the heart, you're letting your heart know that it's simply a portal into the liminal space. We're not doing anything specifically in the heart, addressing anything that might be related to your lessons in the heart space. It's simply a portal that access us into the acausal realm. The other thing is we're going to go down and in our body to pop out into the energetic field instead of going up and out of our body. This way, we are learning how to go further in and begin to explore the navigation systems that are happening internally. That's part of the devoted process. And so let's go ahead and do this. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and shake it all off and get comfortable. Whether that means having a seat or laying down, totally up to you, and take a breath. For those of you that might be listening while you're on the road, then I would say keep your eyes open and allow yourself to simply listen. If you have me while you're walking, you can still go through this process. Just make sure that you're looking around you and you're staying safe in your awareness as you walk, but you still will most likely be able to go into energy space. This is not a hypnosis. This is not anything in regards to that. Your awareness can be here with you while also being in the energy field itself. Okay? All right. So go ahead and bring your awareness to your heart space and take a deep breath. As you breathe, allow yourself to call yourself to yourself so that you're starting to bring all of your present and presence to this moment in time. Noticing if you've deposited yourself in the past or in the future, and again, calling all of yourself back to this moment. As you use your breath, allow that exhale to have you release any of the tension that you're noticing in your body. And then potentially might also open you up a little bit as you bring your awareness now to your heart space. Feeling your heartbeat, asking your heart if it would mind being a portal where you can enter in. You might even place your hand over your heart if you so desire. For some of you, just tapping on it might support you as well. And then go ahead and drop all the way in down and deep until you pop out into the liminal space, a place where you're feeling deeply held, where there's nothing you have to do, nowhere you have to go. You are everything and nothing at all. You are held in a place of pure, harmonious presence. Now, while you're there, I'm going to invite you to call in your compass and your navigation system. Just notice what that looks like and feels like in you, remembering that you do not have to see anything from a visual standpoint. You might hear something, you might simply know it, you might have awareness on the side, you might have a smell or sensation or words coming through. Anything and everything is welcome. You get to trust yourself in this process. So you're going to go ahead and bring your navigation system in. As you do so, begin to notice when's the last time you and your navigation system synced in together. And potentially there's a way you sync in. Maybe you place your hand somewhere, or maybe there is a link. Maybe there is a chord, or there is a program or numbers you tap into a key code. Right? So go ahead and just begin to get curious. Use your internal playful curiosity to support you in this sacred, devoted energy experience. Also notice if your navigation system right now feels slow and steady, if it feels as if it's on alert, if it's sighing relief that you're finally there, just notice. And then if it feels true for you, go ahead and sync into your navigation system so that you are having a little bit of an upgrade. You're syncing in together and you're creating a connection point with you and your navigation system and the compass to support you in wherever it is that you are going next. With the intent that this brings in less friction, it brings in more common language, a deeper knowing, and a trust of your internal self with your body and your mind. As this is happening, noticing if potentially in its new navigation program, it also provides you with a little bit more understanding and information about the identity that you are stepping into as this growth in this space of evolution, in this upgrade of you during this season of life. We also potentially honor this as we step closer and closer towards the lunar new year, resetting and being able to explore the vision of who you are becoming at this moment in time. Gently, there's additional information that may or may not come through, but you're slowly noticing that your upgrade has finished. You disconnect with the navigation system so that you can return back to your body while giving great gratitude to your compass, knowing that you can return at any time. And then gently using your breath to come back into your heart space and exiting it out of your heart, feeling yourself back in your body, using your breath with those 3 deep, long breaths to fill yourself, to feel landed and grounded inside of you in your human form. And gently, when you're ready, open your eyes and just taking a moment to land. Now, there might be information that came through, in which case I invite you to go ahead and pause and write anything down. Or simply just explore, how does that feel in your body? Is there any shifts and changes? Are there temperatures or densities or weights or shapes or symbols that are coming through that you just want to take a moment to soak in? And how does life look in front of you? What are now your visual cues that were slightly different than when you first went in? Beautiful. That is the completion of your energy space. So let's go ahead and reorient now that you've had that connection point and you have anchored into your compass internally yet again, resetting yourself. So I invite you in the next couple of days to really listen with all of your clair senses. Listen to how and what the new identity is and how it desires to emerge. It might be that you're watching a TV show and there's a character that's really bringing something up for you and bringing your archetypal energy of this new identity to life. Or maybe you're reading a book, or potentially you're noticing that there's different thought patterns or different choices you're starting to make or even think about making, right? So listen to how the new identity begins to emerge. I invite you also to consider and let evolution lead you from a place of trust in yourself, from a place of curiosity, wonder, and awe, rather than fear, while also addressing what are the old fears that might slowly still creep up to help recognize that you are in the right place because those fears are helping address that you are going and moving on and growing. And therefore, the fears are there to help you reconcile and lay to rest some of those things from the past old you. Go ahead and notice also when there's any anxiety that drives you to push yourself forward, and begin to realize and recognize, as you already do, where that stems from. What is the root of that and how you can still continue to deprogram that. Also honoring that because you're here of service, you are coaches, healers, and space holders, that you work and you love your work, and therefore you're going to work. Sometimes those are long hours, sometimes they're not. But the shift is, instead of driving and pushing and feeling like you have to manipulate something to get these results, you're coming from a place of devotion, a place of meaning, and a place of vision based on this fullest expression of this evolution of you and your identity. And remembering that you're building and you're learning and you're leading from a place of trust and truth of your internal navigation system from this point on, and that you are also committed to returning and listening to that rather than hearing it once and going and bulldozing ahead when that potentially is not the way for you. Okay, so here's your last sacred business strategy practice. Okay, so we're going into the sacred strategy corner here. So go ahead and write down your new identity, the evolution that leads even when fear rises. List the fears that might surface, so list all of them. And jot down also how you're going to release your anxiety when it comes to going into the unknown with your new identity. And also the conditionings that happen that makes you push so that you can know that that would occur, and then also pause so that you can shift gears and so you're not pushing. Okay. Reflect on what it means to hold your work with devotion. What does that feel like? What's that frequency? What will that look like? And name your vision and purpose from this point on. What truly desires to be built based on your coaching, your healing, your space holding, and what kind of legacy are you leaving this year? So here's a gentle reminder. When we cling to an identity that once served us, we may unknowingly block the very evolution of our inner guidance system that is actually calling us and propelling us forward. And so, personally, spiritually, this is how I invite you to continue diving into the curious spaces of this to help support you in your leadership. And if you desire to lean more into leadership from a spiritual perspective, just the way that my clients have had last week, then I invite you to go ahead and put yourself on the wait list for Spiritual Leadership Immersion. It's been such a joy spending time with you this week. Thank you so much for being part of Sacred Strategies podcast. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please, please, please do. It's such a wonderful way for me to know that I am on an aligned track alongside you. Please create any comments and share with me, and any exchanges. I'm here to read through them. And know that also you can subscribe and also join me inside of Substack, where is also a great sacred temple space for our connection. All right, all the links will be in the show notes. It was such a pleasure to be with you. And may you today step into this new evolution of who you are, addressing the identity shift that is happening while honoring and loving all archetypal energies and recognizing that this new space might actually support you in the growth of your business. Until next time, I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.